only up to 6 Hellboy movies, 6 feature-length Hellboy films.
Until, yeah, because there are some short films.
I
However,
count the animated movies. Is the thing.
oh, no, because those are over 60 minutes, and
Yeah,
they were,
they're feature
yeah,
length.
yeah.
And I have thoughts on those as well as all other Hellboy movies, which will also be covered in this special presentation, because I would like to welcome everyone to Acid Shark's super objectively correct ranking of Hellboy media.
Here we go.
Hold on, I need to screen share this with you so that you can view it in real time. There you go.
Here we go. Here we go.
Okay. I am gonna go ahead and my computer is not having a good time with this, so I'm gonna go ahead and close Firefox. See if that helps. Looks like it
Oh,
has.
most likely.
Okay.
Holy crap! It's been so long since I used Twitch that I forgot where the chat pop out button is.
Yeah, that's fair.
There it is. Okay.
Okay, so I have ranked and given thoughts. This is primarily going to be about the movies because there's more of the movies to talk about, but I have included a spot for the games and kind of like where things stand with those. Uh, oh, that is the wrong thing for me to click on. Hold on, I need to switch my monitor around. I forgot that I have a veto tube on top of this, so I need to click around it.
We're all learning new things here.
If you disagree with anything on this list, that's totally okay. Hello, Halodot. Welcome.
Hello.
You're just in time. Uh, we're all allowed to be wrong from time to time. You'll find it within you to forgive yourself. For the purpose of transparency, this is a bit.
So we're aware.
Just so everyone's aware, like I'm joking. I'm joking. You do not need to feel bad about if your opinions differ from mine. So let's talk about Hellboy movies, shall we?
This presentation, I'll just say,
Yeah.
is beautiful.
Thank you. I worked really hard. So first and foremost, Hellboy 2: The Golden Army is the best one. There it is.
Mm,
There's Hellboy 2: The Golden Army.
there he is.
You can see Hellboy. You can't see the Golden Army. It's not on there.
Yeah.
Hellboy is the POV character, as he should be.
Oh,
This
yes.
this is very important. This is a very important piece for all of the movies that we're going to be going through, because there is one notable exception to this, which I will get into that. Believe me, I have thoughts on that.
Oh, yes.
Ron Perlman is in top form in this movie. You can in watching. I watched all of these movies like back to back recently. And one
Mm,
thing that I have to make note of is I am very impressed by the makeup team on this movie. I never
hmm
realized the improvement in Hellboy's facial prosthetics for the makeup
mm,
between the first movie and this one until I think I watched a video going over like uh, some of like the trivia and history of these movies and how like in the first movie, it was full facial prosthetic, and it is a fucking testament to Ron Perlman's acting abilities that he is able to convey so much emotion without being able to convey emotion. Like,
mm.
I need to put that out there. But in this one, he has a lot more to work with. Like, I think those are actually his lips in this one. Like
Ooh.
he actually gets to
Ooh.
like smile and stuff in this one, and he can emote more with his face. So it's just like that plus like just Ron Perlman already being a fantastic actor. Probably his best performance across like all of the Hellboy films that he's in, quite frankly. I would argue. I like Luke Goss as Prince Nuada. Um, Luke Goss of the first two Death Race sequels, as I'm sure everyone knows him from.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, of course. Famous first two Death Race sequels. It's the Death Race 2 sucks. Death Race 3, it's all right.
Wait,
Um,
wait, 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 wait,
yeah.
wait. There was more than one?
Okay. So,
Because I know I watched one of them.
okay, this is gonna be a bit of a tangent. Um, so Death Race by Paul W.S. Anderson, starring Jason Statham, is a gritty remake of a movie from the 70s, which was more of a black comedy. I think it was called Death Race 2000.
Mm.
Um, Paul W.S. Anderson's Death Race had three sequels. There was Death Race 2, Death Race 3, which had a subtitle. I think it's Death Race 3 Inferno? Hold on, where's my fucking phone? Where did I put it? Hold on. Phone. We're already on the tangents. Look, I'm trying, okay?
The
The
Tangerines.
tangerines. Um, yes, it was Death Race 3 Inferno, and then Death Race Beyond Anarchy is the most recent one. But between Death Race 3 and Death Race Beyond Anarchy, there was a sequel to the original 70s movie called, I want to say, Death Race 2050. Malcolm McDowell was in that one, so you know it's quality.
Oh, goodness.
But yeah, Luke Goss was the main character in Death Race 2 and Death Race 3. What about the Liz thing? Look, look, okay.
Listen,
This
listen.
I mean I'm actually I've got a bullet point kind of about that, but one of the important things to note here is that this is the movie version of the events of Hellboy as opposed to the comics. They it's I can understand the impetus. Is impetus the word I'm looking for? The I can understand the reflex to think that it is weird considering how those characters are in the comics and how their like relation to each other begins and grows throughout the comics. The movies are a different version of those characters, so I tend to more or less give that a pass. That being said, the Liz and Hellboy relationship is better in this movie than it is in the
God.
first one.
Yeah, because if you get me started, I will get fucking started on this topic.
Mm-hmm. That's why I went on that little bit there because it's just like I know you got thoughts.
But I will refrain.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Hey, wait, isn't this just the same character archetype as his role in Blade 2? Yes. Don't worry about it. He's basically playing the same exact character. Like if you've ever seen Blade 2, which you should, it's a good movie.
Yes,
Um
please watch it. Watch all Blade.
Luke
Please watch Blade.
Luke Goss's character in that movie is basically just Prince Nuada if he was a fucked up super vampire. Moving on. Johan is kind of fun in this movie, and most importantly, isn't just ruining everything. Plus, the suit is cool.
It's still to this day
Mm-hmm.
just it throws me off guard that they put Johan in this movie.
I can't like. I feel like that feels like a very much a sort of escalation thing because it's just like in the first movie like you had Hellboy, Abe, and Liz. Like they were like the trifecta of here's our weird characters on the protagonist side of things. And
Yeah,
it's just like when you do a new movie like there's such a incredible breadth of characters in the Hellboy comics. And I feel like there's worse choices that you could make. Plus, Johan admittedly is a visually interesting character.
they had to go with the visually interesting one because had they gone with Roger, it wouldn't have been as I don't fucking know. Movie-esque.
Molly, what are you talking about? Roger was there the whole time.
He was there the whole time.
He's
Never
sitting in a
fucking
display
Roger.
case.
He's sitting in a big jar.
We have fun.
Del Toro put him in a big jar.
If I had to give any sort of mark against it, it's definitely more Del Toro than Mignola, but I don't
Oh, yes.
necessarily dislike that. Like this is something I was watching a video about this recently that brought this up, and I had never thought about this.
Mm.
Um, but uh, you probably like even looking at the game that we're playing today, Hellboy Web of Word, on the box for that game and on the thumbnail that I have put, it's not just Hellboy Web of Word. It's Mike Mignola's Hellboy Web of Word.
Alan?
Yeah,
No,
Kale, don't do that.
no.
But like I feel like that is a very important distinction to make because the a video that I was watching um this movie airs a bit more Pan's Labyrinth than anything in terms of like certain things that it does. Um, like I said, I don't necessarily dislike that. Goblin Market is fucking fantastic. I like a
Oh my
lot
god.
of the monster designs. Like the
Oh,
Elemental, Mr. Wink. Like
oh.
there's so much good shit in this movie that definitely feel like I'm thinking about like the fucking throne room for the elves with like about how like it's
Mm.
supposed to be like set in the
Mm.
sewers and there's all the pipes everywhere and then there's like the guards
Mm.
that look like pyramid heads adopted kids. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. Visual treasures.
there's a lot of cool design shit. Um
Yeah.
but the video that I was watching made the important point that like a lot of this is very much more on the Del Toro side of things. And as a it kind of made the point that as a result of that, a lot of Hellboy stuff that's come out since then has kind of really sort of pushed towards like having Mignola am I pronouncing that right by the way?
Mignola.
Is it Mignola? Okay. Having Mignola significantly more involved in one way or another to kind of like make because he is the creator of this character. He is the greater creator of like the this universe. It is effectively his project, and it is a little weird for there to be like such a major entry in the just kind of overall canon of this franchise that doesn't feel like he had quite as much of a hand in it.
It's not exactly that.
Mhm.
It would take me a minute to find this stuff, but there's so many like interviews with Mignola that are like Del Toro is just like texting me things about like and emailing me things about like, oh, I want to do this, this, and this, and this. And then Mignola was just like saying yes to all of it. So
Uh-huh.
he was just kind of like hands off.
Yeah.
I couldn't say why, but he was just saying like yes to a lot of things and not really. Well, he said absolutely the hell no to Abe having realistic fish lips in Hellboy 1.
You know
He shut
what?
that shit
Fair.
down. He shut that shit down.
That's probably a good idea.
I
But yeah, I like Golden Army is probably the one that I like the most. It takes a lot of the stuff that I really liked about the first movie, gives me more of that while also having a bunch of other cool shit going on. So, uh
mm,
that's top of the list for me. Okay. We got more slides to get through, so let's keep on schmovin'. Next up, Hellboy animated Blood and Iron fucks actually.
oh yes.
There it is. The focus is on our favorite group of misfits on a mission that gives all of them something to do. That is kind of I'm gonna talk about this more when we get to Sword of Storms, but that's kind of like what pushes this one. Like for the record, we're going from my favorite ones to my least favorite ones. So if you're trying to keep track of the ranking, this is my second favorite Hellboy movie. Like, I really like this one, and rewatching it recently, I was reminded just like, oh yeah, I forgot this one's actually really good. Just kind of like on a structural level. Like, I have issues with it, which I'll get to in a further bullet point, but just on a structural level, I really like this one. And the first thing is that, like, you've got Hellboy, you've got Abe, you've got Liz, you've got Professor Broom. Like, John Hurt coming back to play Professor Broom in this is great, honestly, and he has something to do in this movie as along with everyone else. Like, everybody more or less has a reason to be here and has some part of like the greater plot of this film. And that's neat. I genuinely like having the movie actors on to voice the characters in this capacity. Doug Jones, Selma Blair, Ron Perlman, we know is a seasoned voice actor. He's been in so much. Um, John Hurt, really good voice acting this. Again, has voice acted before. He was Aragorn in the what's his goddamn name? Ralph Bakshi Lord of the Rings.
Oh shit.
So he is not unfamiliar with the voice acting process. Um, the Hellboy animated movies are like Doug Jones' first foray into actually being the voice of Abe Sapien, since David Hyde Pierce played him uncredited in the first movie. And quite frankly, I like Selma Blair as Liz. Like, even
Mm.
like, you know, whether it is I like her in the movies as Liz, I think I like her, like, she does a good job voice acting Liz in these movies also. Like, I think I like Selma Blair's great, honestly. Dougie Jones' voice is no, Lucas. that I know you're on a Twin Peaks kick, but no. Different Doug, different Jones. But also, hi, hello, welcome. Very classic sort of, we got weird shit going on in this one place, sort of contained Hellboy story. Um, and that this is something that I also really like about like Crooked Man, where it's just like some of the movies, they got sort of like this globe trotting aspect to them, where it's just like, oh, we have a set piece set in this country, set in this country, but like I do kind of like the more contained, where it's just like, we're here to investigate some shit. And that's what Blood and Iron is. We have a motherfucking haunted house. Let's go check this shit out.
It's a spooky movie.
It's spooky. It's also animated like a Saturday morning cartoon, but like that's fine. That's fine.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That's
for
fine.
fucking sure.
um oh shit. I kind of double clicked. I think I would rate this above Hellboy 2 if it had been either live action or higher quality animation. Um, it is straight to video, like made specifically as a kind of like supplemental to the live action movies that were coming out as like kind of a advertising for those films. Um,
Yeah, these came out in like 2007 in between both movies.
mhm. So the animation quality isn't super high, but it's serviceable. Like, I watched this from beginning to end, and like there wasn't really any point where, like, it's not like I'm watching the fucking Dragonlance animated movie where I'm finding like animation errors every 5 fucking seconds. Have you seen Dragonlance, by the way?
I've heard of it.
Oh, you should definitely check it out. It is an absolute fucking mess. um but yeah, I'm not like pausing and doing like frame by frames every 5 seconds to find like every minor like animation error. It's an enjoyable uh adventure. Also, my boy motherfucking Sidney Leach, human metal detector represent. It's
Sydney.
so weird that of all like the like one-off side characters from the comics to make it into one of these animated movies, they choose Sidney Leach, but he's also pretty fun.
He, as far as I can tell, is like Mignola's stand-in character when he first appears in the fucking volume two.
I think isn't he voiced by Tom Kenny in this movie?
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Awesome. All right. Next slide. I'm using a template, so I don't know how to get rid of these title slides. Sorry, everybody. Next one. Hellboy 2004 is still really solid, but I personally prefer the director's cut. There's some neat added scenes in the director's cut that I generally prefer being there, even if sometimes they don't really add to too much. Like, I don't know why we need a whole running bit about Rasputin's eyes not coming back with him and he's got glass ones, but it makes for a cool bit scene later on where he's got a tentacle poking out of it. That was neat. But yeah, 2004 movie, still pretty good. Uh, it's kind of a miracle this got an adaptation at all.
Yeah.
Like it's not like Mignola is unknown in the industry. Everyone on Atlantis was obviously very excited to work with him. You and I have discussed that, where there's like interviews about how everybody is so excited for him to be involved with the project at all.
Literally giggling about it.
Yeah. Um, but it does really speak to the Wild West of the early 2000s comic book movie boom that we got this in the first place.
Yeah.
Like it was just like, X-Men came out, or Blade came out, X-Men came out, Spider-Man came out, and suddenly everybody is looking for the next big thing that is going to just go absolutely nuclear at the box
Daredevil.
office.
Elektra.
Daredevil.
Just a fucking
Elektra came out the year after this.
God. I'm trying to
And it was
think
a sequel to
what
Daredevil.
else. What the fuck else was like early 2000s besides Blade?
Oh, well, Blade was 1998. Blade 2 was early 2000 because Blade 2 was Del Toro's directorial debut before this. Batman and Robin was 1997.
Well,
Um,
I guess we could exclude Batman because like there have been adaptations of Batman since fucking what, the 60s?
well, true, but Batman and Robin was just so fucking abysmal that they didn't try again until like 2005. So
Oof.
it's important to keep that in mind. What else? Do we know? Batman and Robin was bad enough to ruin it, at least for a little while. Yes. Let's see. Year 2000s apply. Let's see. What else did we have? There was Catwoman. Catwoman came out in 2004.
Oh God,
Uh,
did it?
there was the Thomas Jane Punisher movie, which I still really like.
That's
Uh,
right. I remember that now.
motherfucking Constantine came out in 2005. That's getting a
Oh
sequel.
my God. Wait, excuse me?
They're making a sequel to the Keanu Reeves Constantine. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah,
Why? Why? Why?
because it's a cult classic now. Hey, hey, I like it.
It's 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 good. It's just it should have been called. This is my same opinion as Hellboy '04. Is it's good. It just shouldn't have been called Hellboy because you compare '05 Constantine to the TV series just as an example of like what
hmm
that character is supposed to be.
I still need to watch more of the TV series. I started it. I haven't gotten past like the first couple episodes though. Not
Oh,
for
it
like it not being good, just like I haven't had the time.
just the example of like he's supposed to be dry-witted
He's
and
supposed to be British,
British,
but we won't hold that against him.
and they instead went for broody, moody, give Keanu Reeves the role and make it dark and serious. But at the same time, we get like the best fucking adaptation of Satan ever.
Oh god, yeah, Peter Stormare is fucking amazing in that. Also, hello, Fluke. Welcome.
Hello.
Um, but yeah, what else do I got here? My only question is why did they decide to make this fucking John Arbuckle energy dude the
Ooh.
POV?
Oh,
I don't
ouch.
hate Myers, but like he's so nothing.
I hate Myers. Why do you think he was excluded from the sequel?
Because they send him to Antarctica. Did you? I I was
Oh.
upset to find out there was so if if the Del Toro version of Hellboy had continued, there was going to be a spin-off movie where they were going to bring Myers back, and I almost would have wanted to see that because it's just like
What?
he's listen, in Hellboy 2004, he's such a nothing fucking character.
Yeah, that was the point. He's just a vehicle for the viewer.
And there's better ways to do that, which we'll get to in a few slides, but I think that a character like that, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility for you to take a character who was so nothing and find a way to make them better by, you know, giving them a personality, maybe, in a sequel or spin-off.
Mhm.
I think it's doable. This slide has two text boxes on it. I didn't have anything else for the other text box. Next slide. Hellboy animated Sword of Storms is pretty alright. There it is.
It's pretty alright.
It's alright.
I have a poster of it.
Hot damn, Kay Corrigan's in this one. Let's fucking go!
Get Kate! Yeah!
I read a few more volumes of BPRD prior to the stream. That poor woman has to deal with
Yes.
so much. And it's
Yes.
just like, oh, she needs a nap. I think it's fun the way the annoying psychic predicts a bunch of things that actually happen. He's kind of a funny character, and it's very fun drawing lines from like the things that he says that everybody kind of dismisses as nonsense to things that actually end up happening over the course of the plot of the movie. Hellboy's nonchalant attitudes towards traveling back in time is also a lot of fun. The way he's just like, all right, I guess this is happening. Let's go. Like that's one of those aspects of Hellboy that's always really fun. Is just like the way he just kind of shrugs off weird shit as just like another day at the office.
Yeah.
Love that for him. I couldn't really comment on how accurate a lot of the Japanese mythological creatures are, but they make for some fun set pieces. You know, stuff like the kappa, the long necked women.
Kappa the Kappa was like as accurate as you could get in like
Mm-hmm.
an American movie. The yokai were also pretty like normal.
Mm-hmm. The floating vampire heads, the spider
The
lady.
the heads
Those
short.
those were fun.
Yeah. It was it was a pretty good one-off, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people liked that, so they inserted that in here.
Mm-hmm. What next? Did I hold on? Eh. Animation does leave a bit to be desired. We talked about this a bit back during Blood and Iron. Again, it's kind of I don't want to say low quality, but it's just like it's a budget animated piece made as specifically as an advertisement for the live action films. Uh, Abe and Liz don't really have a lot to do. Their B plot feels like just an excuse to have them in the movie. Abe burps into Liz's mouth, I guess.
Gross.
Yeah, that happened. I mean, he
Well,
says it wasn't what that was, but he prefaces it with sometimes he burps up excess oxygen, so who can say? It is a mystery. Next slide. Hellboy 2019 kind of sucks.
I
There it
won't deny
is.
this. I won't deny this.
I don't know why when I blew this up it ended up kind of squished, but
You
it
know what? It's fine.
squi- squishy David Harbour
It,
Hellboy.
score. Fucking Hellboy.
Why does no one ever shut up in this movie? Like, they ADR'd in additional dialogue to make sure there wasn't a mote of silence. There's
Yes.
so many fucking scenes in this movie that would have been improved by just not having some weird quippy line. Like when he's at the fucking Osiris Club and he's looking at the picture of like his dad, and there's that whole bit about how like, oh, so I'm not just demon spawn, I'm a Nazi. Thanks, Dad. It's just like, why did that need to be there? It didn't.
The fucking okay, I have to point out that like so the producers on this movie are the same guys who produced
Mm,
'04 and '08.
yeah.
Okay. And you know what I also found out? They're the same dudes who just produced the one that just came out. So
Yeah.
their thing, uh, not to mention there were like 20 other producers on this film.
Right.
So many producers were sticking their fingers in the cooking pot.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yes, and the, oh, Jesus Christ.
And boy howdy is this broth spoiled. Sorry, continue.
Yeah, I'm my brain is egg scrambled because of like how much of a disaster this movie was, and you can point out like the deleted scenes that are versions unedited of scenes that are in the final cut, and it's like what
The
why did
poor
they
the poor
the opening
intro.
scene, the opening scene for example was like victim number one.
We didn't need the Ian McShane voiceover. It was not necessary.
So the second note about all the two producer guys are also guys who produced Watchmen.
Oh. Well, that's cool.
Okay, let's remember
Yeah.
Watchmen '09
Mm-hmm.
had all these random fucking music stings that didn't need to be there.
The needle drop. Well, I mean, some of those were, I believe, references to actual chapter titles for Watchmen, like All Along the Watchtower, when they're walking towards Vight's base at the end. That is the chapter title for that scene. To be fair,
Mm.
there's
Uh,
there's there's
yeah.
there's reason for some of it to be there, but also, yeah, Zack Snyder maybe kind of overdid it.
No. It wasn't Zack Snyder's like fault for changing the music around. I'm pretty sure
Oh.
it was because of those guys because they did the exact same thing here. And the fact that there were so many
Mm-hmm.
music stings in '04 Hellboy 2,
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, so these guys really like putting in pop songs.
Mm-hmm. Red Right Hand was a good choice.
Red Right Hand during that scene was like fine, but
Mm-hmm.
there were couple of other scenes with random inserted songs for no real reason.
I got a question
Same
for
thing
you.
happened.
Got a question for you.
Yes. Yes.
Do you think it was them that really wanted Creep by Radiohead and Golden Army?
Oh, no doubt. Well, you know, you saw Book of Life.
I know that Del Toro told Jorge Gutierrez that he was not likely to get Creep by Radiohead, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Del Toro was the one that made that decision.
I wonder if it was like his idea, because it's like there's a bit of an association here
Mm-hmm.
of like these directors who know each other and that song being put in things.
It's a good song. I like it.
Yeah. It's like
A lot of discussion recently about Creep by Radiohead and how it just like makes white people burst into tears. I don't know if you've seen any of this.
oh my god, what?
I don't know how it started, but like I've been seeing like a lot of discussion about like people
God,
talking you hated it in Book. I loved it in Book of Life. I love how it came out of nowhere. I think about that scene constantly.
it's really random. It
I
was really
loved it. I loved it.
random XD LOL Taco Cat, much like the meddling done to Hellboy 2019,
You,
such as the dream scene that Hello Dot
mm,
mentioned. That was a deleted scene.
hmm.
That that it was in the trailers. And then I was getting excited to see that bullshit. And it was I mean, who fucking can say why it was deleted? It shouldn't have been. I thought it was like supposed to be disturbing because it's like it's the shower, and then it turns into
Hmm.
a big shower of blood, and it's like she's messing with him.
It's a shame. It's a shame.
It it
They yassified Daimyo's were-jaguar form. This is not necessarily a complaint.
to be fair, d- the where Jaguar had like none of that context in this setting.
Hmm.
So,
The were-jaguar,
so
like the lead up and the setup for the were-jaguar in the comics is fucking phenomenal, I have to say.
it's just I think my only complaint with
Mm,
movie Jaguar is he wasn't big enough.
he wasn't, but he was
It's-
hot.
oh, for sure.
So we have to give them that at the very least. It's really weird that the Hellboy movie with the most juvenile humor and tone isn't the one made by one half of the dudes who made Crank 2 High Voltage and Gamer.
Literally.
I was thinking about that the entire time I watched both this movie and Crooked Man. All I could
Yeah,
think of was Crooked Man is made by one of the dudes responsible for like I can't even remember a single scene from Crank 2 or Gamer to. No, okay. It's made by one half of the dudes responsible for having Gerard Butler piss into an open gas can in order to get a car to get moving. And it's just like, how is this not the movie that guy made? That's amazing.
I I okay, for anyone just tuning in.
Yeah.
For anyone just tuning in. The newest Hellboy movie is not out. We watched it through illegal means because it is convenient for us.
I wanted to have the context before this stream, admittedly,
Yeah, same.
to discuss it. David Harbour's Hellboy is solid, though.
I thought he was perfect.
Solid turn as the character, honestly. Outside of maybe like some scripting issues, but I am going to go ahead and get into that in a little bit as well. But just like visually, fantastic, honestly.
He put his whole pussy in this movie.
He did. His whole David Harbussy.
Yeah.
Um, why is Broom like that?
Yeah. Oh,
Why why did they make Broom
what?
like that? What is
The
with
only
this
thing
what is with this
I
macho
don't know.
bullshit?
I don't know. I don't know. The only thing that I can think of is he was in what was that series that came out right before this movie that he was in?
John Wick?
No.
No.
You know what? Actually, maybe
Do you mean American Gods?
yes, that one.
Okay.
Okay, my guess, because I haven't seen American Gods, I still haven't seen John Wick's. My
John Wick's pretty
guess,
good.
my guess is they just told him, do what you did in American Gods. And it's like, because it's like you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to make him like that.
Like Ian McShane, Ian McShane's a fantastic fucking actor. Love him.
Yeah,
He's like one of the only good parts of the fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Um, but like Professor Broom in Hellboy 2019 has like this weird like macho be a man shit that he constantly is going on about, and it makes me uncomfortable every
it's
fucking time.
yeah. Which there's that underlying theme of like be a man. It's like
Yeah,
they did that. They did that exact same thing in Hellboy '04.
they did it better.
Yeah, they basically did it better in
um,
Hellboy '04, and in here it was just like, I am going to say the most generic masculinity things of all
yeah.
time.
I didn't have room to put this in there. Alice Monaghan in this movie is fun.
Yeah,
I don't like the weird barf seance shit. That makes me feel like I need a shower. Um,
oh
also,
my God. Listen, 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 listen.
mhm.
If it wasn't her with Johann's powers, we would have had to suffer through Johann's backstory for real.
Oh
God.
god, I wonder how they would have
They would have done the same thing as Hellboy '08. Like, when the BPRD fandom was at its
mhm.
peak in like 2013,
Yeah.
we had this joke that like Oh, actually, we know Johan is such a piece of shit. Our headcanon for '08 movie Johan was he pulls out that like wedding ring at one point, and we were
Yeah.
like, he fucking stole that.
Oh yeah.
He's lying.
After I read the comics and I saw that scene again, I'm just like, it would be so fucking funny if he is completely misrepresenting what happened. That would be so in character.
That's him. Yeah.
Um,
Here's Johan here to fuck things up again.
the other thing, another thing that I don't quite like, I haven't talked about the Blood Queen, and honestly, Mila Jovovich just did a fine job,
She
serviceable.
she she did her thing.
Yeah, like I don't hate Mila Jovovich as an actor. Honestly, I think she gives like 110% to every role, regardless of how good the movie is.
Yeah.
Um, I've
She had
seen
to
all the
act
Resident
in
Evil movies.
she had to act in those movies.
Yeah. Um, the everything the I talked about the tone being really juvenile, and on a similar note, the whole big like set piece right at the end after he pulls the sword feels so needlessly cruel, with like all of like the hell demons like murdering people in the streets.
Yeah.
Like
I
it's
don't
just
know what was up with that.
some of them are cool designs. Like I'll give you that. I like the dude that walks through like the tower bridge.
Yeah.
He's neat looking, but it's just like this seems just needlessly and pointlessly cruel to be showing me all this shit. What I did have room for was, oh, I almost forgot to mention, and this might be a good place to do so, but I did like how in Hellboy 2, the whole conflict of whether Hellboy should be siding with humanity or with creatures and monsters is treated with a bit more shades of gray, like with Nuada talking about how the elemental is the last of its kind and he has more in common with them than he does with humanity. Like, villains bring this argument up all the time, Hellboy 19 included, but they're also pretty blatantly evil. So more often than not, it feels more like manipulation on their part than any actual sort of genuine argument. And I appreciate how, despite the fact that it is Nuada saying it, everything we've seen up to that point in Hellboy 2 makes it feel more genuine because it's more than just the bad guy trying to get under Hellboy's skin. Also, Hellboy is a Libra, not a Capricorn.
Literally.
I had remembered after making this entire thing that I did want to talk about like the way that Hellboy the 2 the Golden Army approaches the like why would you side with them and not us kind of argument, because that also comes up in Blood and Iron where it's Hecate
Yeah.
making that argument, and
Every fucking villain brings this shit up.
and
Like it just constantly happens.
it's the reason that I appreciate it in Hellboy 2 is because in and this is admittedly also an issue that like I have to compare it to the Mignola comics as well because it's the same thing there. A lot of the villains that are making this argument are explicitly evil. Like it is very black and white in literally every other instance other than Hellboy 2. Like Nuada is still a villain. He's still evil. He still has an ulterior motive to basically kill all of humanity. But
Yeah.
with the way that we've set things up, with everything up to that point, with the elemental, with the way that the BPRD is treating him, with the way that like humanity is treating him, with the troll market, like it definitely feels a little like there's a bit more weight on that side of the argument. It doesn't work quite as much in Hellboy 2019. Like he has that whole
No.
blow up in the fucking UK branch where he's just like murdering my brothers and sisters, and it's just like,
It it was so uncomfortable and just
hey,
like this is really really fucking awkward to watch this.
like, hey HB, hey HB. So far, the only monsters you fought in this movie are like three giants that were eating civilians.
Yeah. It's like Hellboy, have
Oh,
you
and the
chomped on a
vampire.
suit? And the
And the
vampire.
vampire, who used to be a human anyway.
So it's like Hellboy, when have you chomped on some human flesh the last time?
Like the just like in most other Hellboy media, whether it's other movies, whether it's the comics, this argument is explicitly an attempt at manipulating Hellboy. In Hellboy 2, you can kind of see where things are coming from in that one. And I do appreciate that about Hellboy too.
Mhm.
Next slide. Oh god, this page has a table on it. Oh wait, I can use this. Hold on. So here's where our ranking. There were numbers on this one. I didn't know what to do with those. Uh, but here's where our ranking is. Number 1, Golden Army. Number 2, Blood and Iron. Number 3, Hellboy 04. Number 4, Sword of Storms. And number 5 is Hellboy 19. So with all that preamble, we should talk about how Hellboy the Crooked Man is actually pretty solid.
This is where we get uh into stuff where we may or may not encourage illegal activity.
Yes. So I'm gonna go ahead and go through my points here. You let me know how you feel about them one at a time.
Oh yes.
There he is.
Hello.
The criticisms of it feeling like a fan film aren't unfounded, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
It wasn't bad. It was great if you had put it on like Netflix, because Netflix's quality in what it puts out has gone significantly up.
Mm-hmm.
That like the spectrum between movie and Netflix movie is sort of like blending together.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Um, so like like I said, this is definitely a budget film, but honestly, I think I might actually bring this up in a later point, so I'm gonna go ahead and hold on to this. But this definitely is a budget film, but that is not a slight against it by any means. Like it does a lot with what it has. Is that the next point actually? Oh yeah, no. Solid adaptation of the original story with interesting expansions to tie it into Hellboy's personal story and the greater scope narrative. The way that Hellboy kind of like relates to the quote unquote witches of the story, as well as the way that like Effie Kolb and the Crooked Man kind of try to they try to do the thing where it's just like you're more like us than you are like them. Um,
You almost got me.
Yeah. Um, the way that it does that, where because I read The Crooked Man, I bought a the trade paperback of the recent re-release of it that includes the return of Effie Kolb, and I read
Yeah,
it. Um,
yeah,
good story. Hellboy's barely in it. he is
pretty much.
he is a side character in that story. Um, so the movie making an attempt to tie it into his story a lot more by like I kind of like that this is a version of the character that just like, yeah, I know all about my mom. I know all about that all that stuff already. Despite the fact that he's been on Earth for like 14 years at this point.
Yeah, so it's like, I could sit here and nitpick, but it's a fucking movie.
It's them making it so that like he knows all that stuff already allows them to kind of like tie it into his sort of like the greater scope narrative and make him a more prominent character in this movie, which if you're putting Hellboy in big letters on your movie poster, you're probably going to want to figure out a way to put more of Hellboy in Hellboy the Crooked Man.
Yeah, because it's like, what point is there to sit here and like bitch about? They didn't. He doesn't know that yet.
Mm-hmm. But otherwise, like God, like page for page, solid adaptation. I was surprised that they did the whole like side bit with witch balls. Like I
Yes,
wasn't
that was
expecting them to
so
do
fucking
that.
funny. That was so fucking funny. I was like, please, please do something. Please cut away the witch balls.
That was
Yes!
so
I was
good. So
cheering. I
good.
was cheering like it was a sports event. And my friend is like totally clueless. Like, what the fuck were you talking about? What is a witch ball?
Well, they just explained it. Were you paying attention?
Like, Ben watched a movie.
Like it was just like because I remember reading the comic and there's like a whole page. Kale, witch balls are these like lumps of fucking
Ha-
schlop that
hair, hair, bones, animal
you
parts.
know those things owls spit out. It's kind of like that. um
Except you use it for magic.
yeah, And in the comic, there's a full page that is dedicated to having like just a random character explain the consistency and creation of witch balls. And in the movie, they do a cutaway with a title card with that character specifically to get across the same information. It was one of my favorite fucking parts of that movie that they actually did that.
Yes. I was like, no way, no way. They're doing the
They
thing.
did the thing.
They did the thing.
Lower budget, but makes the most of what it has in genuinely interesting ways. Um, there is a worse version of this movie that I can see in my mind's eye that had a higher budget, where there is a scene
Oh God.
where Hellboy is treated to a vision of his, I believe, what is supposed to be his mother talking to his father without getting too into details. And in a worse version of this movie with a higher budget, that would have probably been some kind of like CG monstrosity. But in
Oh,
this movie is a slowed down high frame rate footage of a crow blown up and with his mother superimposed over it. And it looks budget. It fucking works though.
thank God they
Like
did like
it
they
feels
just did the
good.
Mignola thing. They did the Mignola thing of just like, here's a character on the page who is just a big face and it's talking, but its mouth is not moving.
It's so good. Like I was watching that scene and I forgot like exactly what I was looking at and I was just engrossed in the moment.
Yeah.
Uh
This movie. Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Jack Casey. Mwah, chef kiss. Great Hellboy, quite
Yes,
frankly.
he did.
He
He fucked this. He fucked this. He fucked this.
he fucked this. He did a great job. He put his whole Jack Cussy into it. We really appreciate that.
Whoa, bring that joke back around.
Um like I understand, like I know that there was some worry when the trailers were coming out because they don't really give him very prominently yellow eyes. Like it's pretty much just Jack Casey's normal eyes. But just like
Yeah.
the attitude, the voice, the weight that he gives the character and just like how he reacts to things is just like it's fantastic. He kills it.
Yes. Yes. Oh my fucking God. It's almost as if it's quite simple.
Mhm.
You just act like a blue collar dude.
Yeah. So
I,
I do have to
oh my
appreciate that we
God.
are 3 for 3 on solid choices for live action Hellboy, honestly.
Yeah. Like, I want David Harbour to get another chance. I really
Mhm.
do.
Cinematography is kind of claustrophobic. There's lots of really close in shots, which feels like a cost saving measure. Like you don't have to worry about like setting up an entire set if you're having like the camera right up in somebody's face. But I was talking to housemate Ixao, and he kind of pointed out that honestly, the comics kind of like that a bit too, with
I was gonna
regards
say,
to like how panels are laid out. And I didn't really think of that at the time, just because like I'm watching a movie, I'm not reading a comic, so there's like kind of there's a different I have a different expectation going into it in terms of like how I kind of expect it to be shot, especially having come off of all of the other Hellboy movies, which do have the budgets to do like these like I'm gonna fucking go back to the fucking Elven throne room. Like they've got elf throne room budget.
yeah.
So it did kind of it caught me off guard a little bit by like looking back. I don't think that that was necessarily bad. I just wasn't really expecting it.
Mm.
Bobby Joe Song is a pretty good audience surrogate. Someone who's already familiar with what we're getting into on some level, but it's her first time actually in the field, which is honestly representative of probably anybody who's watching this. Like, anyone who's watching this knows what Hellboy is at this time. We're 3 live action movies deep. But
Yeah,
this is our first outing with this Hellboy. So as an audience surrogate character, she's great, and she has her own personality and her own shit to do in the plot that is specific to her character and what little we are given to know about her.
like so in the Hellboy and the BPRD run that started after
WO.
BP after yeah, after BPRD was in its like ending home run.
Mm-hmm.
So Hellboy and the BPRD are stories that pop up in the history of Hellboy's early days at the BPRD, and
Mm-hmm.
that girl is part of like his 1960s adventures.
Oh,
So
I haven't gotten that far, so I didn't know that.
she's not in the she's not in the Crooked Man,
She's
but
not. No.
but she exists basically at this time period.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this is, I'm totally fine with this, that she's here.
Yeah, and like I said, just kind of like as an audience surrogate character, because like every other character in this, like you've got, and Hellboy is still primarily he like Hellboy kind of shares like the main character this with what's his name, Jacob Feller is his name. Is that what it is?
The guy who's from around there,
Yeah, the guy with
Appalachia,
Catbone.
fucking forget his name.
I think it's I want to say it's Jacob. In the comics, that guy is the main character for Crooked Man.
Yeah,
Um, but with how they expanded the story in this, Hellboy kind of shares like main character with him. Um,
yeah.
uh,
Otherwise, you just have him and Hellboy to bounce off of, but they
mhm,
have the three instead of the two,
right,
which I think is better.
and like I said, Bobby Joe Song, 100% the audience surrogate character in this movie. Also, can't stress this enough. She does not have John Arbuckle energy, which I appreciate. 10 out of 10, way better than Myers.
Oh, I didn't even I didn't even compare her to John Myers at all because it's like I already know her. I already know her. She's already supposed to be here in Hellboy's past.
Well, consider this. I didn't know her, so I can look at this with the idea of just like, and also I had watched all the other movies prior to this, so John Myers was still fresh in my mind. So because I
Oh,
I only knew her as a character who is here but was not in the comic, so like I can look at her and Myers both as like surrogate audience surrogate characters for their respective films. Bobby Joe's song is so much better. It's not even a contest.
God, God.
I would personally place this movie above Sword of Storms, but below Hellboy 04.
Oh yes.
That's where that would slot in to me. All right, next slide. Fuck another table. Okay, let's talk games, I guess. The best Hellboy game ever currently is Hellboy the Science of Evil. The worst Hellboy game ever currently is Hellboy Asylum Seeker. I don't know what to do with the rest of these lines. I'm just going to leave the numbers there, though. Where will Webby Word rank, I wonder? You'll have to stay tuned to find out. Baba Booey.
Absolutely. So you have to watch through each episode of this playthrough in order to find out where does it fall on the new table. You're gonna have to go through this PowerPoint when we finish this game and change it.
I guess I'm gonna have to. Will it be the best Hellboy game ever, or the worst Hellboy game ever, or somewhere in the middle? It could be anything at this point. Thank you. Let's play some videos game.
Some video games.